Hi there, I'm Rico Gear and welcome to the big fat rugby fest we call the Ruck. Coming up shortly, rugby superstar James O'Connor. So much happening in rugby land right now with more controversy than Donald Trump's Wikipedia page. The Wallabies coach Dave Rennie wants a red card replacement after the Bledisloe drama. Lockie Swinton and Ufa Tungafasi both sent off with red cards in the last game, and they're looking at allowing players to be replaced after 20 minutes. Makes sense? The All Blacks are going back to starting their strongest team. They're versus Argentina, while next week a small group of ABs are set to returning home to begin quarantine. Poor buggers. Aaron Smith said he wouldn't go home early as it would be a disservice to the All Blacks jersey. Or is he having too much fun? Aaron Smith won't go back either until the All Blacks have beaten Argentina. Veteran halfback Smith is a start against the RGs after missing out on last week's game. I'm thinking they'll need him after the last performance. Okay, now time to chat to Reds and Wallabies legend James O'Connor. Hey, awesome bro, good to have you on here. It's been a little while since we sort of caught up at the beach that day where you were prancing around with your shirt off, but I can see you got a singlet on, bro, so that's a good start for us. Hey, just looking at obviously your career. Congratulations, by the way. Like, it's been really inspiring to see you, I guess, come full circle from a young player playing for Australia and then coming back again into that 10 jersey. What's it been like for you?
Oh, thanks, bro. Man, it's been interesting, to be fair. Like, I came back I was not knowing what to expect. Obviously, I also got out of my contract in the UK and sort of just came back with nothing really planned, just with the hopes of getting back involved with Australia and being in the mix again. And so since coming back, it's been sort of learning on the run. I wasn't planning on playing 10, but sort of one of the boys fell down early in the year, and it was sort of something I'd always wanted to have another crack at after sort of running away from it after Lions. But I've really been enjoying it, just starting to play with my mind more than my body.
Speaking of, the game and the result, from the weekend, what an awesome win, for the Wallaby boys over the All Blacks. They don't come often, but, the team must be pretty pleased with, how it all went. And what was the review like, obviously, with Dave Rennie on the Monday?
We needed a response after that third Bledisloe. Like, we just didn't turn up. We were emotionally fatigued. You guys just put on a clinic, literally made us pay for every sort of ill discipline or error in our sort of attack. But we thought, I guess, in the first game, we did enough to sort of, to win, and I guess you guys did as well. And then sort of come game two, we left a lot of opportunities out there. A few probably split decisions that didn't quite go to hand, and couple other things, but I thought we created a lot in attack, and we just didn't get that scoreboard pressure. So to come into week 4, we needed a response, and the guys sort of stepped up. And it wasn't the most clinical game. Obviously, 14 on the field, sort of tactically you have to change quite a bit, but we created quite a lot from our sort of spark attack and counter opportunities, which in previous matches you guys just killed us in.
Yeah, and I think from a viewer's point of view, we certainly. I think, everyone was pretty encouraged by that first test, with the draw. And, man, how close was that, that shot at goal that hit the top of the post? So there was certainly a lot, I suppose, the team would have taken from that result and used a little bit of that, probably in that last game.
The one thing we've learnt from this series, like, you don't often get to play the All Blacks 4 games in a row. And as we know, if you're a little bit off, you're gonna get dominated. So for us, it's about just being consistent with when we're at our best, we know we can mix it and we know we're right there. And as you saw, we can win those games. But when we're not quite there, we need to find another level where we're still clinical, we're still playing field position, we're still tactically playing our game and not allowing you guys to sort of run rampant. But yeah, I think we've taken a lot from these 4 games, and it's been interesting having sort of Dave come in. He's really touched on areas that we'd never sort of even spoken about, making like different areas in counter attack and just different formulas sort of in our set piece, which has been pretty exciting. But in saying that as well, we've taken on a lot of detail, and I do feel for the young guys, because I know when I was that age, like, I would have. There's been a lot that's sort of gone into it. So I think once we actually. We know the detail, but once that detail becomes second nature and we don't have to think and we're just finding our bodies moving into position, I think we're going to really start to create a lot of opportunities, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, a lot of New Zealanders, we know, how good a coach Dave Rennie is, and I think before the series, I think a lot of supporters, New Zealanders particularly, were probably a little bit nervous about what he was going to bring, to the team. And obviously we've started to see a definite change in the way the team is going. And speaking of Dave, I see that he mentioned, we'll look at the red cards from the weekend. And I think, personally, I think that's something that's got to change in terms of, guys being sent off, completely and, not having enough numbers on the field. And I saw that he mentioned, having a replacement for the person that's been sent off. What do you think around that sort of thing?
With the laws of the game, like, it's the right call that he made on the field. But in saying that, like, both of those were dominant hits. So it's almost like it's a bit tough in that respect because, they both attackers sort of had planted feet, and, almost in previous sort of years, it would have gone the other way and sort of really shifted their momentum the other direction. But I hadn't heard about those comments Dave made, but I do think when you have 14 guys on the field, it completely changes the test match. Your set piece moves completely go out the window. Even your structures, like most teams are playing like a 3-2-1 or 3-1-3, those sort of techniques. So if you lose one guy in that pod out wide, you literally can't really attack on that open side unless you manipulate from the middle of the field. So you find yourself just playing in that one corner and then putting a lot more kicks in, which, as you saw, like most of the tries were scored off sort of counter and off pressure built from territory rather than creating opportunities.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And, I hope they do, tweak the replacement side of that. But, if you're hitting high, and you're going to be sent off. That's all good. And what we don't want to see is I guess, too much of a mismatch, with those numbers. So I think Dave Rennie's, on track there. And I'm sure, World Rugby will do something, in that space. And so just from a supporter's point of view, how are you looking in terms of, your injuries, and are you going to be back on the field soon?
Yeah, I'm healing. It's just taking a little bit longer than expected. I tore my MCL in that second match against you guys in Auckland, and I think because I played sort of a whole half of footy. We thought, okay, like I'll be all right. But I'm not saying I sort of did more damage in it. I guess I only sort of stayed on the field because we lost Matt Tamua. I could rarely come off, and if you actually watch the game, I'm sort of like Forrest Gump out there. But I guess look, coming, it's healing. It's just we've just got to take it as it goes,
And speaking of yourself and Matt Tamua not having played, in that win against the All Blacks, I mean, again, that's probably going to bring a lot of confidence, to the team that they could achieve that without your guys' experience. So it's certainly encouraging, for the Wallabies side, moving towards the end of the year. And I mean, you must be pretty pumped to, hopefully get back on the paddock, before Christmas.
Man, I'm pushing very hard to get back out there. It's exciting. And that's the thing, we've got so much young energy in the team. And this is probably the first Wallabies group I've played with that's been so versatile. We can literally play so many different forms of attack, and you're seeing guys that actually are hitting in defence and, attacking the seams well. In the middle of the field, our forwards are starting to tip well and pull nice little trigger balls and link plays. So it's very, very exciting for me, sort of being a ball player, being able to sort of manipulate that and literally be able to play in any parts of the field. So, working pretty hard to get back out. One thing I guess you saw is Reece Hodge sort of stepping up there, and he's a quality player, and he can play literally across the board, 10 to 15. I think, we'll see what happens.
So speaking of assets, I see that Suliasi Vunivalu from the Melbourne Storm has been a part of the camp. It looks like we're not expected to see him play, but it must be exciting for the Wallabies and for the Reds to have someone of his attacking flair, introduced to what's going to be exciting moving forward.
100%. I think so. We got to get a taste of it at training yesterday. Watch him go through the ropes, and I think the point of it is just to sort of see where he's at and reintroduce back into rugby union. He's obviously previously played there quite a bit in juniors, but there's a couple of habits he'll probably want to reintroduce and pick back up. But literally watching him, he moves very smoothly. Watching him in the air is almost beautiful. And some of his work off the ball and his second touches are really good. So I'm excited to see how he's going to go. He's definitely an athlete, and he's going to be a live wire to defend, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's just what the All Blacks didn't need is another Fijian winger to come up against moving forward. But it's going to be an exciting prospect with. I think if you look at guys like Caleb Clark and some of the young wingers that are around, it's starting to get a little bit scary out there on the edge. Probably just as well you're playing in at 10 and not out there anymore.
That's why I moved to 10. I haven't said it properly, but I actually moved because I didn't want to mark. In Wallaby camp during the World Cup, I had to mark on Jordi Pataya because he was the other 13 and I was playing 13 at that stage. And he just ran a clinic and I was like, I'm too old for this. I got to go back. I got to start using the part of my body that's probably the sharpest now. That's my mind. So it's been good moving in there and being able to use those guys.
Older and wiser, bro. That's what it's all about. Looking after number one and avoiding contact, I think, is probably the way to survive the international game nowadays. But hey, bro, real pleasure, catching up with you. Wishing you well, with your injury and hope to see you, on the field, before the end of the year. But saying that, all the best for what's coming up and for next season. We're looking forward to, watching you contribute more and as a real leader to Australian rugby.
I appreciate it, bro. And I look forward to catching you on the beach of the Goldies soon in your budgie smugglers again, eh?
That's us, bro. I'll bring the sunscreen.
Sweet, bro.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to 11 Sports and Australian online news. Check out my latest show, The Sports Bar, with Margot Parker and Jesse the Monster Williams. Check us out, Medieval MMA. I smacked one right across the chops.
This is Sparta.
And if you want one of these merchandise tops, head across to ricogearrugby.com. Thanks for watching.